MG Rob back with you, and today we're back into Project Ginsu. Now when I last left you, we were getting ready to talk about the firewall modifications and engine placement. Now there's lots of factors regarding engine placement. It's not just the physical size of the engine, but you also got to think about the weight of the engine, routing of exhaust, and how much cutting are you capable of doing or willing to do. In my case, I was willing to do as much cutting as it took to get the engine where I wanted it. Now, if I was just doing stoplight drag racing, just wanted to go fast and surprise some Mustangs and Camaros, then I wouldn't have worried about it being maybe a little bit further forward in the car and a little higher. But I want this car to be much more than just fast on the street. I want to go autocrossing with it and go do track days, and I want the car to handle as well. So one of the disadvantages to using an LS1 versus, say, an LS4 is it is the full-size bell housing, where the LS4 uses the GM 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder bell housing and a smaller flywheel. But of course they don't make a manual transmission flywheel for it, so that creates its own unique challenges. So in order for this bell housing to fit within the very front of the transmission tunnel, I needed to do some modifications. So the first thing I did was I took the donor firewall and I dissected it down to individual pieces. So since I wanted to retain the factory heater, that was going to be my biggest hurdle, was the space here. In order to get the engine as far back as I can, that was my biggest limiting factor. So to start out with, what I did was I took this whole section of the firewall here and I moved it back a ½ inch. That would take the whole heater back further into the car. So to accomplish that, I drilled out all the spot welds that was holding the top section here to the middle section of the heater part of the firewall, and then offset it. And at this point, I decided it was time to go ahead and just remove that whole center section of the firewall. Now, it was at this point, once I finished doing the cutting there, and I stepped out from the engine compartment and turned around to look at it, that I started questioning my own sanity. And started wondering whether I could actually make this happen or not. But kept driving on. So then I started reworking the whole front portion here of the transmission tunnel by starting out by taking this piece here and widening it. Now, of course, that was a comparison of the original one next to the one that I'd started modifying. And now at this point, I decided it was time for the first test fit and to put the engine back in to see how much room I had. So as part of the widening process, not only did I make the back section wider, but also took the front portions here and flared them out a little bit to make more room, which had the effect of also pulling that front edge back some to try to give me a little more room. But at the end of the day, it didn't give me the quite the kind of room I was looking for. So the shape of the firewall had to change even more. All right, so I think that might be enough for today. I'm trying to keep these videos kind of short and digestible. Unless you guys want to start seeing me make them a little longer, let me know in the comments. But at any rate, this is MG Rob. Later.